Welcome everyone to the Mastermind Book Club. I'm glad to have Elizabeth, Ariane, Abdul from Africa, where it's somewhere like 2 in the morning out there, I think. Geez, welcome everyone. I won't ask Abdul to talk because I'm certain he's standing around people who are, or he's laying next to people who are sleeping. So I understand that and respect that, but I'm glad to have you here, Abdul. Today's Mastermind is about the review of Financial IQ by Robert Kiyosaki. A very important and fast book to read. It's only 3 hours audio book. The book is very short. He focuses on making short and concise books, which is very important. And some of the things that we were talking about before we started this recording here, Dennis has brought into light, and I just want to go over them quickly in reference to reviewing this book. But before I go into reviewing this book, I know you see some stuff on the screen, but is there anyone who wants to say anything in reference to this book quickly, briefly?
It really helped me read.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey
Yes.
guys, it really helped me really look at money differently, and how, especially when it comes to my budget. I never really understood the process of not having enough and always being over or really under, technically, and just really being able to find a way to come up with different ways of how to make that extra income and really put that back into that play. So it's really like an eye opener, and being able to see that again.
Excellent. Excellent, Elizabeth. You always have very good pointers. I really appreciate that. And that's also something we're going to talk a little bit in agreement with what I have with this review today. So that's very, very important. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing. Anybody else want to share anything? Okay. All right. So let's go over this review. This review, I want to keep it very short because I want you to learn at least one thing, because if you learn one thing, then we're doing the right thing. So let's do this together, because that's what this Mastermind Book Club is all about, is that everyone wants to learn things individually, but yes, eventually you have to learn some things individually, but this book brings into light some of the things that you need a mastermind for, that I need a mastermind for as well. So financial intelligence. Kiyosaki divides financial intelligence into 5 financial IQs. What's number 1? Making more money. You see, there are people who make $200,000, $300,000 a year, but yet are in debt and have no savings. And on the other hand, there are people who make under $100,000 a year who are able to save anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 a year. Which group are you in? Are you making more money and unable to save any? Or are you making less money and are able to save? Making more money is part of the process. This is measured by how much money you earn. If you make $100,000 a year, you have a higher financial IQ than someone earning $30,000 a year. But it doesn't mean that the $100,000 person has all the answers. Number 2, protecting your money. Once you earn your money, you need to hold on to it. Protecting your money, especially from taxes. That's the second financial IQ. Number 3, budgeting your money. Being able to live well and still invest, no matter how much you make, requires a high level of financial intelligence. That's what Kiyosaki tells us. This financial IQ is measured by how much money you have left after expenses. So who do you pay first? Obviously, you should be paying yourself first before you pay your bills. And that's something I can tell you firsthand about in a few minutes. All right, number 4, leveraging your money. This financial IQ is measured by return on investment. How well do you make your budget and surplus? Generate more money for you. Improving your financial information. Financial information doesn't just mean knowledge of basic financial concepts. It also means detailed knowledge of the investments you make. Now, I know that the first thing that mind here is, how in the world am I going to invest like Robert Kiyosaki asks us to if we don't have the type of money that he has? That is a valid question. And I know that in this book, that's one of the questions that I ask myself is, how in the world do I get from point A to point B? Well, there's something called the 15 steps that we went over in yesterday's class. And that is very important for the 2020s decade that we're going into. How do you manage the amount of money so that you're able to save and you're able to pay for bills? All right? Many people manage their money in proper ways, and they're able to live on less and have more savings than those who make more money. Now, financial IQ number one, making more money. Many people fail to acquire wealth. That's what Kiyosaki says. They want the money without the work. That's a reality. If I only had $1 million, I'd just stop working. If I only had $1 million, I'm certain you've heard that. But in reality, it requires work, from planning to writing down your plans to doing something daily to achieving your goals. It can take anywhere, as I said in yesterday's class, it can take anywhere from a year up to 7 or even 10 years. It depends on what you're looking to do. But what I tell you is, once it starts coming in, it starts coming in big. We each have different goals, dreams, ambitions. The important thing is to find the best way for you to make more money, all right? What is the best way for you to make more money? And then to build your goals around this. In order to make money, you must also learn to control your emotions. Yes, emotions. We get anxious. We're not very patient. We must learn to defer gratification as well, because we love to shop until we drop. I know, I've been there. I've done it. The other day I went shopping with my wife. I went to 3 or 4 stores while she went into every store and she purchased something pretty in 2 of the stores. I barely purchased something, but it was food. I don't know if you count that as shopping till dropping, but food is important. Number 2, financial IQ number 2, protecting your money. Well, there will be people who want to manage money for you. There are taxes that are coming to haunt you. Kiyosaki acknowledges that you need to pay taxes, but there's a very important key in this, all right? What is that key? Before you pay your taxes, you should research how to avoid paying more taxes. You should be paying less taxes. Why? Because there are many other ways that you're paying taxes, especially in New York, all right? I just found out that in Florida, and he mentions it, Robert mentions it in his book, Florida has the least amount of personal income tax. Now, what could you do with an extra 4 to 5%? On a yearly basis, it could turn into 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. I don't know what your salary is. Whatever it is, I'm certain you can use it for something, all right? So there's a way to beat the tax system. You've got to figure it out. For me, when I was an independent contractor, I had to give out 1099s, and that helped me a lot with decreasing my taxes on one end, because I could submit a lot of my tax write-offs to other people, like gasoline, like repairs and maintenance, as well as what I was paying other people. So all of that can be written off in one way or another. You've got to figure out how it works best for your business, whatever it may be. Now, Kiyosaki is really big on real estate. Real estate is very important. I'm headed down that path. I have some real estate. It's not as vast as his, but I haven't had a need for taxes because they're overseas. But as I begin to invest here in the US, I need to learn about taxes. I need to know how it can benefit me and how it can benefit you in your business, however it is that you're claiming taxes. Banks, it's incredible. Banks set up your accounts so they take out a minimal amount out of your account. Let's say $10 a month, $20 a month, and a transaction fee for whenever you use their debit cards. Well, you've got to learn how to minimize that because every little bit counts. If you don't know how to manage a dollar on a daily basis and its importance, then how are you going to get to manage $1 million or $10 million or $100 million when you come to it? All right. Bankers are, you've got to watch, you keep an eye on the banks because they're looking to make money on your money. So yes, and if you don't have a lot of money, they're going to take more. So they have a catch as well. They take as much as they can from the little people, but from the big people, they try and give incentives to keep their money in the banks. And I'm certain you've heard of that because I've had to avoid it as well. Brokers. Now, when I started trading, I ran into some brokers who were charging me higher rates. And then I ran into brokers that were for free. As well as I started calling brokers and saying, you've got to bring down these rates because I'm getting it free somewhere else. And I'm going to stop trading with you if you don't bring them down. And guess what? It works. So if you're into trading, you've got to figure out how to get these costs down because they can chip away at your wealth. So if you imagine doing 100 trades a year and they charge you, I don't know, 20 bucks, that's $2,000 a year. But I've gotten mine down to either zero cost for a trade or up to $3.95 or $4.95 a trade. So it works out in my favor. Businesses. The number one job of a business is to sell something to you. You've got to be in the business of selling something, whatever it may be. The business wants part of your money, but they also, you also have a right to keep it. So who do you want access to your money? Number 5, brides and grooms. Obviously, if you have a partner, male or female, they don't say that they want your money, but it's nice to treat them right. I treat my wife right. I regularly go out with her. Next week, we're taking a weekend to go into my brother's wedding, and we'll have a few days out there and enjoyment. So you've got to set aside money for that as well. How do you manage all of this? Brother-in-law. Now, I'm certain that you are aware that people in your family are hounding you for their money or their properties. I've had that happen to me. So much has happened that I've had to show people my, what is it called? My tax lien, my real estate lien, showing people that I'm the legitimate owner of the property that I have purchased from the past. Because people want to know, how did I acquire this? As well as people will hound you as they see that you're getting ready to die to take over or take you to court or your family members to court so that they get a fair share of their piece from your from whatever it is that you have left over for your family. All right, family members you don't intend to share it with, you need to plan before your death. All right, and if you need a plan, let me know because I know where you can find a will that you can fill it out for free and without avoiding a lot of these costs. All right, now barristers. Finally, it's important to protect yourself from legal difficulties, right? Lawyers are out to get you, all right? One way or another. If you have your money under your name, maybe you have a lot right now, maybe you don't, maybe you have a house, maybe you don't. You've got to find out if there's a better way to keep these safe, protected, so that it doesn't affect your name, and so that people don't come after you and take away what you have in your name. All right, that's how important this is. All right, and then the next financial IQ. Oops. How does one go about paying as little tax as possible? How does one go about it? First of all, you have to look into, what are you doing? Are you in transportation? Are you in the travel industry? Do you wear uniform, the same uniforms every day? Are you in real estate? Do you have to change furniture regularly, upgrades, and so on? So there are a lot of things that need to be done in order to create better tax advantages for your favor. What is the best way to approach estate planning? What is the best way to approach estate planning? Uh, Finding out from an experienced person who's not going to rip an arm and a leg from you in order to get their means met. Financial IQ number 3, budgeting your money. Okay, so as Dennis and Elizabeth were mentioning earlier, budgeting your money, what does that mean? So as we were talking about the dollar, let's say realistically, if you live on $1,000 a week or a little bit less, and let's go on 1,000, it's much easier. You have got to chop off 10% at minimum for you first before you pay everyone else. Yes, everyone wants to pay their bills. Everyone wants to get out of debt. But if you're not paying yourself, then you're not doing the right thing. Because you have to take care of yourself first. That's the reason you work, right? Everything else can wait, right? If you don't know how to wait, then how do you expect to be able to um, pay for everything that's, sorry about that feedback. How do you expect to pay for everything else if you don't pay yourself, right? Time and money are very important assets. So spend them wisely. Time and money. If you're spending a lot of time to make money, then that money should be in your hands first before you delve it out to pay people. There are plenty of experiences out there, which I'm willing to share on a one-on-one basis, where people have used money to their favor, have used loans to their favor, credit cards to their favor, getting into debt to their favor. All right, I don't want to mention it here because I know there'll be some people sooner or later that'll haunt me for saying these things publicly. Financial IQ number 4, leveraging your money. Borrowing money to increase the power of your own cash is good. However, how do you use it for good? So Robert Kiyosaki, he has something called a cash flow. All right, and I just want to go over one of those pieces in there, because borrowing money is simple like this. You can borrow money so that you can live in a house, all right? But believe it or not, that is a liability unless you find a way to rent out part of your house so that it is no longer a liability and you are either paying sufficient to cover all the bills or making some income out of it. Now, your house, instead of being a liability, becomes an asset. This is one of the 4 pillars that Robert Kiyosaki goes over in his cash flow, right? Creating assets out of your liabilities. Leveraging your money is creating an asset out of your liability. Number 5, improving your financial information. Warren Buffett is the most successful investor of all time. Buffett and his partner, Charlie Munger, conduct extensive research for every decision they make. All right? Why is this so important? This is why the Mastermind Group works hand in hand to building wealth for you. All right? Research is a key word. You're not going to learn everything. I'm not going to learn everything. I know that Ariane is an expert on the internet. I don't know who else is an expert on the internet on this call, but I know each and every one of you has an expertise that I do not necessarily share. Now, how do we help each other? Obviously, communicating with each other. Ariane, sooner or later, I have to talk to her, but I want to get her on one-on-one so that she can talk about what she does, because she might be able to help some of you out. All right, she provides a business, she provides a service, but a service that is useful for most of us this day and age, especially when it comes to the use of internet. And Ariane and I have spoken about it, and I'd like to bring her on eventually in the next few weeks to talk about helping out create your website in reference to marketing and in reference to ClickFunnels and so on. But we'll talk on another occasion with Ariane, because I know she's in a loud place right now and she's getting her hair done. She must have some party coming on, but we won't go into that. So improving your financial information research is very important. Focusing on solving people's problems instead of focusing on making money on an hourly basis. Focus on finding something that you can help solve others' problems. You can sell something on the side. You can sell sheets. I've known someone who's gone on the streets of New York, in Brooklyn, right off the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn, to sell sheets on the streets with their kids. And they've made money. They've even sold water in the summers. Make money, all right? Whatever it takes, you've got to do to get ahead. It might not be the best thing in the beginning, but it's something to get you ahead to the next level. Now, very important as well is save. Save your money, but not necessarily keep it hidden away, because that is the old way. Make money, save it, and you're okay. But now you've got to search for ways to invest it. Investing might not come right away. It took me well over a year to figure out that I made a really bad investment. However, I'm trying to get out of it, and it's going to take me a little bit of time to get out of it. Why? Because I was being pushed by my lord to make an investment, And at that time, I told him, I'm not ready. I haven't researched yet. So I took his word, and I jumped right into what he was telling me. Assets should be used to pay for liabilities, or assets should be used to increase the value of your worth, your net worth. All right? You've got to figure this out, not on your own, because that's what the world is telling you to do. Figure it out on your own. To improve your financial information, you've got to have successful partners. You've got to do the research. And not only do the research on your own, you've got to have trustworthy people who can assist you with that, guide you with that. And you might have to pay a consulting fee, but it's better than just jumping in and having to regret, like I've had to do. All right? Now, there's good debt and there's bad debt. Obviously, if you just have credit card debt that's piled up, yeah, it's pretty bad. But if you have debt that's because you've acquired a house to live in, but now that you're living in it, now you figure out, instead of having it as a liability because you're just living in it and you're not producing any money out of it, now you want to sublet a room, sublet the basement, sublet, I don't know what, maybe the whole house, so that you can make some money off of it. You've got to create another source of income. When Robert Kiyosaki's wife first started, her first apartment that she purchased brought her in $25 of income on a monthly basis. So did she get it right on the first time? Yes and no. $25 is income, all right? But it's not where we want to be in the end. So you've got to start out from the bottom to get to the top, all right? Now, there are three things that Robert Kiyosaki goes over, especially into real estate. And it's going over the things that Dennis and I and Elizabeth were mentioning earlier. Number one is having good partners. No matter what you do, you're going to need someone to rely on for certain types of information. Number two is location versus finance. All right? You either pick the right location or you pick the better financing option. All right? What do I mean by that? Well, in Kiyosaki's book, he says you could pick the right location, but if it doesn't meet the right financing options, then it probably isn't the right investment tool for you, because you've got to make it so that you're making money off of leverage. All right? And number three is good management. If you don't want to manage the property, you've got to find a good management company that can manage your property for you. This is specifically with real estate. All right? Is there an easy way around all of this? No, there is not. This requires work. And that's why I say there are many parts to this. There are at least 15 parts to this. If you heard yesterday's recording, at least 15 parts. At the beginning of this call, Dennis and I were going over that, how it's brought in a lot of clarity. And I thank you, Dennis, for saying that. And Elizabeth as well has mentioned that it listening to the tape from yesterday and from last week, the video call from yesterday and from last week, it shows that you might have a vision, you might have written it down, but what's next are those 15 steps that are in between. Maybe you don't know all 15, but you know your end goal, right? To either acquire $10 million or to become a business owner or to become an investor. Is it easy to become an investor? Of course it is. When is the right time to become an investor? We don't know. It's up to you, right? But I can guide you. There are other people who can guide you. So when are you going to plan to invest in you? It's very easy, very simple. Are you willing to take the first step? I'd like to unmute you guys right now because I'm pretty much done with the review here of the 5 steps. Now, in reference to index funds, because in this book he mentioned index funds, are they right for you? Are they inappropriate for you? It depends, all right? They could be right for you. If you're looking to gain money in the short term, they're not going to be around for you. They're not going to be solve your problems. But in the long term, they can. Most investments are successful in the 10 to 20 year range, if not 30, unfortunately. Are index funds right for you? Well, I'd like to have some index funds eventually. And I do have some index funds, as a matter of fact. I was forgetting, sorry. I have a broker that manages them, and I'm trying to get away from this broker. But unfortunately, to get into these types of funds, I need to have a broker. And so those are one type of investments. And Robert Kiyosaki mentions these 3 things. Other people's money, OPM, all right? A common expression used when talking about the multiplying effect of use borrowed funds, borrowed money to purchase property rather than paying all cash. ROI, return of interest on investment, return on investment is a ratio between net profit and cost of investment. A high ROI means the investment's gains compare favorably to its cost. A high ROI, return on investment, is favorable to you, the investor. If you don't know what these terms mean, if you're uncomfortable with these terms, it's okay, because you've got to start out listening to them for the first time. And if within 5 years is your goal to buy property, you've got to make yourself aware of these terms and many others. IRR, internal rate of return. The internal rate of return is a measure of an investment's rate of return. All right. The term internal refers to the fact that the calculation exclude external factors such as the risk-free rate, inflation, the cost of capital, or various financial risks. This is what Robert Kiyosaki offers us in this book. There are many other things, but the 2 things that I'd like you to take away from this is, number 1, if you think you're alone, then you are beaten. All right? You need people to rely on, experts who can get you to the next level. They are called accountability partners. They are called consultants to a certain level. I can assist you, guide you with all of that. All right? Number 2, research. Read the books. Listen to the books. Don't just take Robert Kiyosaki's word on what has been discussed in this group, as well as what you've heard in his audiobook. I have a few other books as well, audiobooks, in reference to money. One is called The Dollar Crisis. The other one is The Battle for Soul of Capitalism. And the other one is The Empire of Debt. I don't know if you are interested in going into money, or if you would like to continue on the path of building your knowledge account. But remember this, the 2 things, research and your accountability partner, whatever you want to call them, either a consultant, a mentor, an accountability partner, someone who can get you ahead, a mastermind group, just as this one, all right? It requires many, many people to get you ahead to the next level. I just told you about Warren Buffett. I just told you about Robert Kiyosaki, who has a managing team. He has a lawyer. He has a tax expert. So your network is your net worth. Remember that. Now, I'd like to open up to everyone. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to unmute the lines. Let's see. Unmute here. All right. Does anyone have any questions or any comments or anything that they've shared? Thank you, Dennis, for all the comments here, and I tried to incorporate them as you were putting them down. So I appreciate that. Um, any
If you
comments?
don't mind, yeah, I'll give you one big thing from listening to, and I got dropped off for a little bit, but I did review some of the book. And one of the biggest, biggest thing is when you're looking at your current expenses, turn more of your your entertainment budget into your education budget, and you'll be unstoppable and phenomenal within at least a month, if not a year. Completely everything will turn around.
Can you
So
repeat that education? Can you repeat that
turn
quote?
your entertainment budget into your education budget.
Thank you. Thank you. Turn your entertainment budget into your education budget. And it's one step at a time, a little bit at a time, because doing it overnight is the best solution. But some people have a hard time letting go of their entertainment. That's a reality, right, Dennis?
Yeah,
Yep, I
definitely.
guess he's,
Letting
yes.
go. Letting go is usually the hardest part of, but you're not really letting go of anything other than what's holding you back. So if you do it in steps, then do it in steps. If some people need to immediately change their life because they're definitely in a hole. And that's kind of what happened to me. I definitely needed to change a significant number of things immediately. But there's other things that I'm stepping into to be able to enjoy more, to have a different level of entertainment, because I'm expanding my mind to learn finances, to learn relationships, to learn networking, to learn business opportunities. And I'm, instead of doing all the stuff that I used to do that was holding me back, I started to learn how to use the right people, the right coaches, the right networking, asking better questions, and putting myself out there. Because if you look at yourself as having a handicap of ignorance on finances, then call people up. There's people out there that commercially want to know how they can serve you. Well, serve me by answering my questions. Go to your bank. How does this work? Why is this a fee? Where does this come from? How do I invest in this? What's the difference between a CD and in 6 months and a CD in one? Start asking the details of the questions of where your money is now. Ask.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where it starts. And if you need to figure it out, I have financial tools that I can sit down with you one-on-one, and we can go over your expenses, your investments, how they can be more in your favor. So it's very simple as long as we sit down and go over it. But over the phone or just thinking about it, you get flustered, you get upset. I'm like, oh my God, I have so much debt. I've been there. I used to have $300,000 of debt, $300,000. I mean, I lost 350 once, $350,000. Does it sound cool? It's not cool. So, but now that I've learned, I can help people with that. All right, get on the calendar. Let's talk. Let's communicate. Let's build something better. Ariane, we've got to talk so that we can get you on one of these calls and talk about helping people get their own websites and so on, and marketing, and let's build it together. But one-on-one, we we can address one thing at a time. Yeah. Look, somebody wanted to say something. I see someone. Oh, okay.
Oh, this is Arian. I was just gonna say, I hear everything. Sounds good.
All right. So we'll talk later, Ariane, about that, and maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks we can get you on and we can talk about the business that you do and how it can benefit a lot of people. Cool. Cool. So I know Ariane's is busy. So awesome. Let's see. Dennis wrote here. Let me see. Let me just see what it says here. Let's see what you put, Dennis. Awesome intelligence on basic finance steps and progressing to investor level. Get connected. Get on David's calendar. Ask. If you don't ask, you will never know, and that's the truth. All right. So here are the next steps. Number one, I'd like to be able to at least go through one simple money book, and I'm going to take a look at these three and see if one of them is available audiobook. So if it is available, we'll go through one more. That way we get a different perspective from a different author. And number two, I'd like to, in 2 weeks' time, review all the books that we've gone over, what you've liked, what you've disliked, what have you learned, what have you applied, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Plain and simple. Why? Because we've got to grow. So within 2 weeks, we'll do the book review. All right? People have been asking for it, and it's important that we do that. And then in 3 weeks, I'm going to talk to Ariane and see if we could get her on one of these Thursdays so that she can talk about what she does and what services she can provide. And next week, I'm going to talk to someone about doing meditation. I know how to do some meditation, but I'd like to bring this person into the meditation. All right, so this is the end of our Mastermind Book Club. I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. And until next week, I'm going to post a new book by tomorrow morning, the new audiobook. And remember, get on my calendar. Let's talk. Let's communicate. Thank you, everyone, for sharing and caring. All right, I love you all. Have a fantastic weekend and enjoy yourselves. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, David.